Oftentimes, I come across people who are so enthusiastic about the Dhamma, about engulfing themselves in the Buddha's teaching and really embracing this path of life. But I think for every man, woman and child that I have come across who is so enthusiastic, I have also come across people who are quite the opposite. People who actually fear the Buddha's teaching. They're worried. They're scared. And they're frightened. So, when I come across people like this, I do take a moment to stop and ask them, what troubles you? What is it that bothers you? Why are you worried? Why are you scared to listen to the teaching? Why are you worried about sitting in front of a monk and listening to what he has to say? Usually the response I get back is, what if I end up like you? And they're not just saying that for the fun of it, or they're not just saying that as a gesture. They actually do mean it. They're not jesting about it. They actually do mean it, because they're seriously worried about it. They're worried about the fact that they may have to leave their beloved family behind. They're really worried that they may have to let go of their businesses, all these enterprises and ventures that they have so struggled to build up. They're really worried that one day they might decide to don robes and go forth if they continue to listen to the sermons. You know, there are people who don't come to the monastery because they're so worried. There are parents who don't send their children to listen to the Buddha's teaching because they're worried that if their children get to listen to what we have to say, then they're going to renounce a worldly existence. And then they'll let go of all the things that they have all their lives worked so hard to build up. The education that they have had, the homes, the families, the money, the wealth that they have worked hard to build up. They're worried that they'll have to let go of all of them. Sometimes we come across successful businessmen and women who are worried. They fear the Dhamma, the very Dhamma that teaches one how to be fearless. They fear. The very teaching that helps one to become fearless, the irony of it, they fear it. And there may be those among you who feel that way. And that's that's perfectly fine. It's very natural. It's a very natural reaction, because most of the time you get to listen to teachings from monks. So like today, you have come to the monastery, you have picked a comfortable seat, and now you are waiting to hear what the Swami Nuhanse has to say. And you look at him and you wonder, if I listen to him, if I listen to him long enough, he's going to brainwash me. He's going to convert me. He's going to make me leave everything behind. I'm going to have to let go of my parents. I'm going to have to let go of my partner, my spouses, well, hopefully one spouse. I'm going to have to let go of all the things that I have worked hard to build up. And then I have to come and don robes and lead a monastic life. So people are worried. I want to dispel that falsehood. I want to help you do that. I want to help you realize that that is not what the teaching is about. And I want to do that because, folks, there may be those who are known to you. There may be some of your friends, maybe family members, who are really concerned that you either come to this monastery or you listen to these teachings. They're worried that you're going to give up everything. They're worried that they're going to lose you. They're worried that you're going to forget that you're a mother. They're worried that you're going to forget that you're a wife and you're a husband, you're a father. They're worried that that may happen to you. So I want to dispel that disbelief. It's a myth. This is not what the teaching is about. This teaching is not to get those people who are businessmen and women to let go of their businesses and come and ordain as monks. This is not what the teaching is for. This teaching is not to get parents who are so fondly attached to their children, who dote on their children, to let go of all of those things and come and ordain in the Shasana. That is not what this teaching is for. To ordain as a monk or a nun is simply a way of life that one chooses to live. The teaching is not for that. You can go from being a completely worldly being or a pruthakjana to a saint or an arahant in the Buddha's ministry while you're at home, fulfilling all your duties and responsibilities. Doing all the duties that you have at home, fulfilling all of them, without as much as actually walking into a monastery or donning a robe. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. This is simply a way of life. A lot of people say that Buddhism is a way of life. If you ask people, what is Buddhism? Is it a religion? Some people say, no, it's not a religion, it's a way of life. I think living a monastic life is a way of life. Becoming a monk, going forth, that is a way of life. But the Buddha's teaching is simply the truth. It's not a way of life. It's simply the truth. And when presented with the truth, you can either accept the truth or you can deny it. I mean, it does sometimes make me laugh when some people say, Swami Nonsa, I'm worried about listening to your sermons because what if, after I have listened to them, I will want to let go of all the things I'm attached to? That does make me laugh because what they're saying is, what if I realize the truth? What if after listening to you, I realize the truth? Isn't that what they're saying? Because if this is not the truth, well, why do you let yourself be convinced? How many times must I tell you that 2 and 2 equals 6 before you accept it? Come on, form an orderly queue in the order of the number of times I must tell you 2 and 2 equals 6 before you accept them. Come on, everyone. Chop, chop. Come on. How many times will I have to say that? Would you ever? No. Why? Because you know with conviction that 2 and 2 is never going to equal 6. So if I'm able to convince you that 2 and 2 equals 6, then that in itself is proof that you have never understood how 2 and 2 equals 4. Is that not the case? In fact, you have never seen the truth. If I'm able to tell you something and convince you that what I'm telling you is the truth, okay? So I want you to follow this line of thought. If I explain something to you and get you to accept that that is the truth, and having listened to that, you let go of those ideas and concepts that you held on to previously, then isn't that evidence that what you believed was the truth is not actually the truth? Because that is why you are able to so easily give up those ideas. Either easily or with difficulty. However, you gave up on those ideas and genuinely accepted what I am saying because now you have seen the truth. So that in itself is evidence that what you believed was the truth was actually not the truth. So really then, taking a very simple example, we all believe that the two parents that we live with, a mother and a father, we believe that they are our biological parents. And most of the time that is true. Sometimes it may be that you have been adopted, but most of the times, right, your parents are your biological parents. So just because some Tom, Dick or Harry turns up and says, hey, your dad, it's not your real dad. You're just going to sneer at him. And it's just going to go, yeah, whatever. But what if some guy comes and says, I've got proof. I've got proof. You got switched at the hospital and I've got proof of that. And then he or she presents to you with evidence. Being an open-minded person, you consider the evidence. You don't accept the evidence, you consider the evidence. You consider the evidence, consider the facts, and then you either accept or you reject. Once presented with the facts, you can either accept or reject. So having seen the facts, having considered the facts presented in front of you, you will either go, oh, I see, and you have proved to me that I got switched at the hospital, and therefore this person is not my biological father. It's the other person. Or you go, no, you do not have any evidence to prove to me that my father is not my biological father. And you just continue with your life. Nothing has changed. Just continue as you did up until this point. So, is it safe for me to assume that all of you are intelligent people? Will you forgive me for making that assumption? So if you will forgive me for making the assumption that you're all intelligent people, then I'm going to make the assumption that I can only convince you of something if it is the truth. I cannot convince you of something to be the truth if it is not the truth. So this is how much I have faith in you. I have enough faith in you that I personally believe that you have the intelligence that when I present you with some facts, you are intelligent enough to accept the facts that seem sensible and accept those things that are not factual, and you will discard them. And you are intelligent enough to look me in the eyes and go, Swaminathan, what you are saying does not make sense. I'm sorry, but you're talking to the wrong guy. I cannot accept what you are saying. So let's move on. Can I make that assumption? That you're all intelligent people? And that you won't just take things just because I say so? And you will analyze every word I say? And you will apply it into your life experiences before either accepting or rejecting it? Excellent. Then let's talk. Let's continue. A lot of people fear, as I say, that the Buddha's teaching is to renounce a worldly existence, is to let go. People fear that once they listen to these sermons, they will let go of a worldly life, they will forget their duties and responsibilities, they will not know who their parents are even. Which is, nothing could be further from the truth. The Buddha's teaching is nothing other than the truth. It's simply the truth. This truth, folks, will help you this much I can guarantee. This truth will help you to get on with whatever you have been doing thus far, but to be able to do it peacefully, to be able to do it happily, to be able to do it without worry, to be able to do it without fear. Let me explain myself. There are lots of things that we do in our day-to-day lives, right? From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, there are lots of things we do in a daily existence. Chores, fulfilling duties, responsibilities, and so on and so forth. I want you to take a moment to ask yourselves, what are some of the things I do on a daily basis? And ask yourself this question: do I do them because I like to do them? Or do I do them because I have to do them? It's a really simple question. Do I do the things I do because I like to do them? Or do I do the things I do because I have to do them? Let me start you off with a really simple example. Breakfast. Okay? Breakfast. Do you take breakfast because you like to take breakfast, or do you take breakfast because you have to take breakfast? I know some of you are saying, so I'm an answer. Yes, I take breakfast because I like to take breakfast. Plenty times I have missed breakfast. Okay. Let's skip breakfast and then move on to lunchtime. Because I know there are two groups of people right now. Because I asked the question, now there are two groups of people among you. Virtually there are two sets now. One set going, yes, Swaminathan, I get the point. I take breakfast because I have to take breakfast. And then there are others going, no, I can choose not to take my breakfast, so I only take breakfast and I want to, and I like to, not because I have to. Okay. So because you can, then because you like to, because you want to, let's skip breakfast. Because if you like to do something, then you should be able to not do it. If you're doing something because you like to do it, you should be able to not do it. Are you following what I'm trying to say here? If you're doing something because you have to do it, you can't choose whether you do it or not. For instance, like if you need to spend a penny right now, which is going to the toilet, by the way. If you need to go to the toilet, do you go to the toilet because you like to go to the toilet, or do you go to the toilet because you have to go to the toilet? How do you decide which one? Simple. Try not doing it and see how long you can last. Because if you do something and you're doing it because you like to do it, then you should be able to do it. You should be able to not do it according to your whim and fancy. For as long as you feel like, hey, I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. If you're doing it because you like to do it, then you should be able to not do it for as long as you like to, right? And you should also be able to do it whenever you want to. Have you never had those days where you wanted to go but you couldn't go? And they're both terrible. What? Want to go, can't go. Don't want to go, have to go. Aren't they both really terrible experiences in our lives? Sometimes you're stuck in a bus, or you're stuck on the train. On a train, well, usually they have the lavatories, but on a bus, sometimes they don't have those facilities. Now, you want to go and you're stuck in traffic. Now what do you do? Oh, well, I only go to the toilet because I like to go to the toilet. So I don't like to go now, so I can be like this for as long as I like. Can you ever say that? So why then when the guy pulls up and says, right, that's where the toilet is, before you know it, you're in there. You're bursting for the toilet. Really simple example, right? So let's get back to breakfast then. So I know there were some of you thinking, I only take breakfast because I like to. Okay, so because you like to, I'm saying, let's skip breakfast. You're not taking breakfast because you want to, because you like to. So if you like to, what must you be able to do? Skip it. Okay, let's skip breakfast. Now it's lunchtime. Now I ask you the same question. Lunch. Do you take lunch because you like to take lunch, or do you take lunch because you have to take lunch? Remember, you've already skipped breakfast. Do you like to, or do you have to? Now you have to. So was that only true for lunch then? So breakfast wasn't like that? No, you just weren't hungry enough. You just weren't hungry. At breakfast time, you weren't hungry, therefore you skipped breakfast. Not because you liked to. In fact, in that moment, you didn't have to take breakfast. That's why you didn't take breakfast. But now it's lunchtime, and you've been hungry for over 8 hours, over 12 hours, and now you're really hungry, so now you can no longer skip lunch. So you have to take lunch, therefore you take your lunch. Now, as I said, that's a really simple example, but now I want you to put on your thinking hats. Along those lines, start thinking about the things you do in your life. I'll share a list with you. You pick the ones that are true in your life. Take a shower. Go to work. Go to school. Make friends. Ring a friend. Go to the bank. Open a bank account. Save money for your retirement. Get on one knee and propose to a partner. So I know you're thinking, oh, I did it because I like to. We'll get there. Travel. Go to a Chinese. Ride on a roller coaster. Am I along the lines of things you like to do? Am I hitting the right spots? Right? Things you do because you like to do them? Buy that fancy top because it looks really nice. Color my hair. Play the violin. Listen to Bob Marley. Climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Swim in the Ganges. Go for a walk. Eat a cake. Have a cup of tea. Come to the monastery. Sit down and listen to the sermon. Shave. Put on your glasses. Read a book. Brush your hair. Brush your teeth. Iron your clothes. Have I come up with some things you do on a day-to-day basis? No, not Mount Kilimanjaro, but usually the other stuff. So I know what you're thinking. Among the things that I just called out, Swaminathan, so yes, there are things that I have to do, but of course there are things that I do because I like to do them. For example, my hobbies. I play the violin because it's my hobby. We get there. Wait. Generally, people split the things that they do in their lives into these two groups. Things that I have to do and things that I like to do. So once you have split all the things you do in your life, say between the ages of 10 or maybe 8, 9, 10, where you can actually now start to pick and choose the things you want to do until such time you are forced to do things. Your parents got you to do things. But say from the ages of about 8, 9, 10 to maybe 80, 85, that sort of age. After that, again, you're in bed, right? And now again, you can't do the things you want to do. You just wait until things are done to you. Like when you were young. Things were done unto you, and now again, things are done unto you. So between the age of 8 and 80, let's say on average, you come up with 2 lists. List of things I have to do, and a list of things I like to do. So let's make sure that you've got the right things in the right boxes. So what are some of the things I called out are things you have to do? Or what are some of the things you have to do in your life? Okay, let me go back to that list. Open a bank account. Like to do or have to do? Come on, say it out loud, it's all right. Like to? Who says like to? Like to. And the others go, have to? Okay. Let's see. Why did we open the bank account? To put the salary. Okay. Why do you need a bank account to put your salary? Okay, so your workplace demands that you have a bank account to put your salary into, right? So what if you didn't have a bank account? You go to your workplace, no, I know you want me to open a bank account, but I ain't got one. What are they going to say? What do you think they're going to say? Yeah, go and open one. No, I don't like to open a bank account. Then what are they going to say? They're going to say, sod off. If you don't want to open a bank account, then you don't have the right sense of mind to be working in this place. Get lost. Okay, so I know what you're thinking, but there are some workplaces, Swaminas, where they pay you cash in hand. So then you don't need a bank account. All right, all right. So what do you do with the money that you get cash in hand? Now what do you do with it? Stick it under your pillow? Where it's safe? Where do you put your money? I'll give it to the wife. Is it safe there? So who looks after the wife? Is she safe? I'll come to wife. Did you get married because you liked to or because you had to? We'll get there. And also, are you with your wife now that you are married because you like to or because you have to? We'll get there. Don't you worry, we'll get there. Don't worry, we don't leave any holes unbarred. We'll cover it all. Right, so going back to the bank account. Even if you got paid cash in hand, you need somewhere to keep your money safe. You can't keep it under your pillow, you can't put it under your mattress, because then who's gonna be keeping that money safe? If you get burgled, if you get robbed, then that's the end of that. You can't keep it